Hi, I'm Greg Liberto, and I am the head coach. And I want to welcome you to another edition of 18 Online. It's the fastest 18 minutes in golf designed to help you play your best golf ever. And on today's show, we have a very special guest in Dr. Rob Bell. And Dr. Rob is going to talk about the concept of fear, how it manifests itself, and how you can help overcome it. He's written 3 books. He has a 4th one coming up that we're going to talk about at the end of the webinar today. But I just want to welcome Dr. Rob to the show and give him a hello.
Hey, thanks for having me. I look forward to it.
Awesome. So Dr. Rob, you've got some pretty extensive experience in working with PGA Tour pros that have won on the tour. You've also caddied on the tour also, and I want to talk about that. But the thing I want to talk about first is your No Fear video. And I've watched it a few times, as you well know. I love it. I'm curious, what prompted you to go through and actually put the video together?
Yeah, there was actually a couple stories that went along with it. When I just started in the field, back in the early 2000s, I went to a conference and a professor at Georgia Southern, his name was Dan Check, gave this presentation called No Fear. And I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And obviously the letters and everything were a little bit different, but I thought the concept was cool because we all remember back in the 90s, like the No Fear t-shirts. And so this was a talk that I used to give all the time. It was one of the free talks I would give, and I gave it 100 times. And I said, I'm done with the talk. Like, I'm not going to give it anymore. And then I was asked to give it one more time. And like 3 or 4 people came up and said, you've got to make this into an ebook. And I was like, no, I'm kind of done. Like, I'm working on the hinge. Like, I'm okay. And then, they kind of pressed me a little bit, and then it just turned into a video. I thought a video was something that people could digest pretty easy, and then the ebook that went along with it. So that was kind of the impetus behind that.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, and I know you put a lot of time and effort into the video. And 2 of the stories that I love, if you just want to either just focus on one of them or maybe just share with our viewers today, is I love your story about Chris Chelios and his hinge moment. I also love your story about your first time experience as a caddy and what happened there. So if you want to expand on either one or both of those stories, I'm sure our listeners would love to hear it.
Sure. I mean, I'll probably go with the Caddy Story. I mean, I know that one a little bit better. I mean, the very first event I caddied for one of my clients on tour, you were walking up to the 9th green on the second day, and it's one of those things where I got caught up in the moment, and we look up in the leaderboard, and he's in first place. So the second day of the tournament, and I got caught up in the moment. He tossed me the ball on the 9th green. We've got 9 more holes to go that day. And I grabbed the ball, I bend down, I'm cleaning the ball. And like when I say I got caught up in the moment, like I'm kind of double shotgunning some people in the crowd. I'm like looking, I'm like, wow, this is fun. It's great. Like I'm thinking that I'm obviously the best sports psychologist that there is. Like this caddy is a piece of cake, and let's just go win. And this was 2006. So he tossed me the ball, and I grabbed the ball, and I bend down, and I'm cleaning it, and the ball drops in the bag. I reach out, I grab the ball, and I toss it to him. And he makes the putt. And one of those moments that then we're walking onto the 10th tee, and fear just kind of overcame me. And I had to wait. I said, Pro, that was a Callaway 4 blue circle, right? And he wants to know why I'm asking him. And he looks, and it's a Callaway 2 blue circle. And so in my haste and thinking I'm the man, I'm the best ever, and getting caught up in the moment, I handed him the wrong golf ball in the middle of a tournament where he's leading. So, again, that's why it's one of the best sports that there is. We call all penalties on ourselves. We call the rules official over and said what happened was it was a 2-shot penalty. And so he doesn't talk to me for a couple holes. It's really, really tough. And the reason why is because all the self-talk that was going through my head was about what a loser I am. How could you be so stupid? You're obviously the worst person in the world. All this self-talk, everything just came back and was really just attacking me. And he stopped me on the 14th tee and said, look, he said, I need you. He said, we're going to get that shot back, but, I don't know if you can do this mental game stuff or if you don't believe it, but I need you to be confident. And I said something like, okay, I can like act as if, and that was a really, really important moment to me because it really taught me a couple of things. One of them is I had to be a product of the product. And I don't always do a good job of it, but it's about progress, not perfection. And the other part is, and I address it like in the video, is the power of having a good response, not necessarily our reaction. So our reaction, like if we three putt, it's really going to be negative, but what's our response? What do we do walking off the green with our playing partners in the next shot? And that's where I think that we can really address a lot of our mental effort is in our response.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And I know in the No Fear video, you talk about turning your obstacles into opportunities. And, I'm curious how that whole, I mean, to me, it's a very, very powerful story. And I think your honesty and integrity obviously showed through. How did that impact you in the years afterwards?
Well, a couple different ways. I would always have a fear of caddying in general, that like my phone was going to go off. So it really made me over prepare. Anytime I would be caddying, there are just some certain things that you can do that will cause, 2-shot penalties. And then when it came to really just being honest and speaking my mind when I thought like it was appropriate to do so, the fear was kind of away from it. So what had happened is, this was my very first PGA event, one of the very first golfers I worked with. And I just had my doctorate in sports psychology, and it just really showed me about how much more growth I had to do for one. But the other thing is there was no way it could have been any worse than that. That was the worst moment. And that's what somebody said. Like, I was going to set the bag down. I was going to go like kill myself. That's how bad it was. It couldn't have been any worse. And somebody said later on, they said, look, if that's the worst that it's ever going to be for you, then, you have it good. And that was true. We're all going to make mistakes. And then I guess I was fortunate enough to experience like the worst kind of mistake really early on. And, hey, we wake up tomorrow and we just try to do a better job of it. So I think it took away, some of that fear, I think.
Okay. Amazing stuff. So, I'm curious in terms of, you've worked obviously with business professionals, you've worked with professional athletes, you worked, I know you spoke at the University of Notre Dame, you worked with Walgreens, Marriott. The list goes on and on in terms of your experiences and such. And let's just talk about the concept of fear, as it applies to golf and as it applies to maybe other sports and even in business as well. I had to overcome a crippling fear of public speaking. So I understand what fear does to you and the power that it can really have on you, the crippling power that it can have on you. But from your experience, what would you say it is that, and if we want to talk about golfers specifically, if you want to just, group it into one whole area, but what really causes fear to manifest itself?
Well, I think a couple things. And we all experience it. And the thing about fear is that, the one thing that I try to teach anybody that I work with, especially myself, is we can't let fear get in the way of whatever our it is. And that's the thing, is everything we really want is on the other side of that fear. So I think what fear does is fear doesn't allow us to be in the moment. Fear is getting us thinking ahead, next shot, next round. Or it's thinking in the past, of trying to show us examples about how we weren't successful and how we're not going to be successful coming up. And the thing about sports is like, look, everybody chokes. A lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's true. Like everybody chokes. Like if you are going to be in business and life, and especially golf, like it's just going to happen. So it's how we respond from that. And it's not about, I try to say, look, it's not about the setback. It's about the comeback. And if the only thing is standing in the way is our fear, then it's just not a big enough reason to not go for it. So things I see that manifest, like when we play golf, is, we really play it safe, play not to mess up. And when we do that is when we mess up. And the whole reason why is because we're just in protect mode. We're trying to total up the score through 16 holes. And, we're not in the clubhouse yet. And I get it. So the real key is we've just got to keep putting ourselves in that situation again and again and again. And one of the things is it doesn't matter what the stage is. Like the better we get, the more, important the stage is going to be. But it's really just, we've got to develop it on the practice range and in our casual rounds. That's the part where I think, look, if we can put ourselves in those situations, we're going to get better at handling that fear.
Excellent. I was talking to a friend of mine, Mike Smith from Ford College Golf. Mike played 4 years of Division I golf at James Madison and is still playing, on the amateur level as well down in Florida. And, he said to me, he goes, because he had a golf psychologist that came in once a month when he was at JMU. And he said, the one thing about sports psychologists is they're all a little bit different. And, he talks about me and what I do and talking about stomping the ants or the automatic negative thoughts. And he goes, that caught my attention because it was different. What's different about what you do and how you work with your golfers or your athletes specifically as opposed to other sports psychologists?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, this is absolutely like my passion. This is the number one thing that I do like in life. And it's really the only thing besides like my family is the only thing I really think about. So, I mean, I've at least tried to immerse myself in all different sports and to really just help with the sport we're working at. So for example, like what coaches teach in tennis, that can be applied like in golf. What we learn with swimmers and how they train and how they prepare, that can be applied in golf, even like in strictly from the mental side. So one of the things I think that really makes me different, I don't know if it's different a lot. I don't know if it's good or bad, but when I have golfers that we meet one-on-one, and a lot of times I want to see where their mental game is, because if we put the ball in front of them, it's all just, hey, watch this, watch how good I can make the ball dance. And that's great, but I want to put them in stressful situations, and I really want to find out like where their mind goes. So if we spend a whole day together, we're going to play, but one of the first things we do are 103-foot putts. And the reason why is because I want to see, like, look, is this golfer, are they a quitter? Is this a golfer that's going to start blaming me because this is a ridiculous drill that we have to do? Is this a golfer that's going to get angry? Is this a golfer that's going to, let the negative thinking really affect it? Is this going to be a golfer that, just really solely focused on what they're trying to do, that have, no respect for anything else that's going on? So I want to find that out. And then once we find out like where their mental game goes, I try to put them under as many type of situations and pressure environments so we know where our mind's going to go under pressure. And a lot of that, I mean, especially just with the golf game, I mean, it's all with the short game. It's all with putting. It's all with being able to have a good, crappy day, the way that I see it. And what does that look like, and what does that mean, and what are our obstacles that we're going to face? So if there's one thing, it's just I love getting out there with them on the course and putting them under pressure environments, pressure circumstances.
Excellent. So amping up practice and almost making it more difficult than what they're going to experience in competition, which is hard to do, obviously, but you want to make it as challenging as you can. I think
that's right. I mean, everybody says, well, you can't simulate the type of pressure that you're going to have to make for an 18-foot putt. Hey, I get it. Well, we got to get pretty close, and where's our mind going in our routine? A lot of that stuff can be similar, and that's what we're getting ready for.
Excellent. So we've got about 4 minutes left here, and I want to just talk about a couple of things. I obviously want to give your new book, "Don't Should on Your Kids," a plug like we talked about. But your most recent book is The Hinge, correct?
Yeah, it was actually No Fear, the ebook, but the physical top was The Hinge. Yes. Okay.
So in The Hinge, you talk about those critical moments that can change everything, either for the good or the bad. And I love your Chris Chelios story. We don't unfortunately have enough time. All I'm just going to tell our viewers and I'll give you the information, is watch the video. It's awesome. But I was listening to, was reading today about how Rory McIlroy had his Hinge moment when he was on the 10th tee in the 2011 Masters going into the back nine on Sunday, and he was at the top of his swing, and he was thinking about don't go left, and that's what happened, and he ends up finishing 15th. Well, that became his Hinge moment to take control of his mental game. So the concept behind the book, I think, is fascinating for sure, but in the time that we have left, if you just want to share a little bit more about the Hinge and maybe help some people realize what their Hinge moments might be.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that. I mean, the one thing about the Hinge is like we are all getting ready for that one moment, that one person or that one event that's going to make all the difference in our lives. And we just don't know when that's coming. So when people talk about the importance of mental toughness, is we've got to be mentally tough because, today might be a Hinge moment. We have no idea. We can't connect the dots moving forward. We can only connect them looking back and seeing the importance of one moment, one shot. And that's what it comes down to. And that's what we're really preparing for, is to be in that moment. Now, the Rory example is great because sometimes our mess becomes our message. And, we have to experience the absolute worst. So then we understand, like, look, man, it's not going to get any worse than that. I really don't have anything to fear. And that's the thing I always find is, like, the fear is what keeps that hinge from connecting. Mm-hmm. So what makes that hinge connect is keep giving ourselves as many opportunities as we can. I don't care how bad things are that we're playing. It takes one shot to turn everything around. And we've all been in those situations where we're playing a match play. Maybe we're dominating our opponent and they hole out from the fairway or they drop a long bomb. Everything's different from that moment on. That's an example of like a hinge moment. Excellent. And that's what we're always getting ready for. That's what I think the real importance of mental toughness is.
Love it. Love it. And then just to finish up here, again, to give a quick plug for Don't Shoot on Your Kids, if you want to give our viewers a quick overview of what that's all about.
Sure. Well, don't say it 3 times fast. But, yeah, don't shoot on your kid. Build their mental toughness. I've missed it. But parents are really just such a huge key on how kids are doing with their sport, and a lot of premises behind it. But what are some things that parents can do to help their kids build mental toughness? And that's what the whole book is designed to do. It's going to be released after Thanksgiving, and really excited about the impact that it can just help athletes and coaches and parents.
Excellent. Love it. I love it. Well, I love your sincerity. I love your intensity. I love your genuineness. I've been, getting your emails now for a couple of years. Your content is phenomenal. I really enjoy it. I really want to say thank you for being a guest on the show. And for people who want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do so?
Sure. I mean, obviously Twitter, we love Twitter. It's at Dr. Rob Bell, or my website is drrobbell.com. I've got a newsletter goes out every Friday.
Excellent. And they're all good reads. I can vouch for that one for sure. Dr. Rob, I just want to say thank you, and we'll hopefully look forward to having you on the show again.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.